other booze.
My botch. Bad luck fail.
You already knocked us off the air 3 goddamn times.
Hey.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
It's amazing! Listen up, wrestling fans.
That's right, listen up. Strong Honor is back on the air with Taco and Joe back in studio.
What up? Woo!
It's nice to have you guys finally back here. I feel like it's been forever since both of you guys have been here.
Feels good.
So
it's AC. That feels really good.
Yeah,
but just seeing you guys feels really good.
But yeah, we do have that
close to a month.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I think it was like, because I'm going on vacation next week, so no Strong Honor next week. But there's not going to be a ton to talk about. But yeah, I think it was like a month ago that I asked you, hey, can you look after my cat when I'm gone in a month? And now it was. I think the last time you were here was for like the G1 preview, and now we're doing the G1 Fallout today.
I was like, so much has changed in a month
baby.
that Impact made the future whiteboard events.
Yes, in case you're not familiar, I keep a whiteboard here in the studio that has like the next month and a half of upcoming events, including WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and actually Impact made the whiteboard right down at the bottom, Bound for Glory, coming up in October on the, what is it here, October 14th. So I smartened up because sometimes I have a hard time seeing the whiteboard from across the room, so I kept a piece of paper with the same exact stuff on it on the
I'll
desk.
Keep squinting.
That's prepared.
So,
squints.
welcome to Strong Honor. We do talk Ring of Honor and New Japan. The G1 Climax finals have happened, and your winner is the guy, the man, the former ace. I went with the old school Tanahashi music just because I love the old theme. He's the ace, the man of talent, the once in a century talent, Hiroshi Tanahashi. So I went with that there. But yeah, man, it was one of those things like before the tournament, I was like, in my predictions, I was like, Tanahashi could go on a little bit of a run here. Because I heard a couple of interviews with him before the tournament, and he was just, I plan on going all the way in this thing. I'm going to make a run. I'm going to win this G1. My goal is to main event the Tokyo Dome again. And I bought into it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I didn't predict him to win.
Not many did.
But I had him going on a nice run, and sure enough, he went and won the goddamn thing. And by God, if I wasn't into it, well, I thought it was a hell of a show. I know poor Joe did not do very well in his G1 predictions because, go ahead, Joe. How did you?
I had Tanahashi on a horrible run. I think I only had maybe 2 or 3 wins for him, honestly.
You had him on the Makabe / last year's Yuji Nagata plan.
Then I had Zack Sabre just running a train on people too. That was the problem. And yeah, I'd be lucky if I cracked 30 points.
Taco, you ended up winning the predictions brackets only by a few points because I had just a couple of predictions that were less than you correct.
Had a couple of upsets there too.
Yeah, it's nice when you get the upsets correct along the way.
I was just glad that I had Elgin losing like the whole thing, every single match, and that didn't really affect me too much. So that was kind of positive there.
And like very satisfying people beating Michael Elgin along the way, like Yoshihashi and Makabe on like the final night. Makabe beating
awesome
Elgin was a good time. So we'll get into everything here, but certainly the last 3 nights we talked about everything up to the last 3 nights on last week's show. We'll talk the last 3 nights, but of course that amazing final from the final night. I loved that match, Tanahashi versus Kota Ibushi. Again, a lot of people predicting Kota Ibushi to go far and or go all the way. I had Naito going all the way. That's a completely different story. Where's Naito going out of this tournament? What's his deal? So we'll talk about that too. But how about that final, Kota Ibushi and Tanahashi?
I love the pace. I mean, they just kept going and going. Like there wasn't a lot. I mean, besides maybe those 2 spots where they were both out of the ring, milking the count a little bit. Other than that, I mean, the fluid moves, tons of submissions. I love the beginning. Tanahashi just going after Kota Ibushi's legs and his strength. Like, yeah, he impressed me. I'm not a huge Tanahashi guy. He hasn't impressed me in a lot of matches,
as evidenced by your predictions.
Exactly. So like this put on a show. Like this really proved Tanahashi to me.
Taco, your thoughts on this match?
I'm with you on Tanahashi, Joe. Like, he does not do much for me. He kind of like bores me, but he always shows up, and does an amazing job. So it's like I can't knock on the guy at all. But him winning was like a fucking giant shock. I didn't have Joe's like he's gonna lose every match kind of mentality, but he definitely I didn't think would be in the top 3, would be in the Tokyo Dome. I feel like that there's that trilogy of guys of Naito, Okada, Omega going on. So it's cool to see Tanahashi win, though. It's a pleasant surprise. It's shocking, let alone Ibushi going, Kota Ibushi making it to the finals too. So it was just that whole main event was a surprise. It was caught me off guard and everything, so I wasn't expecting it.
And just a great match too.
Yeah, a slower paced match too. So it was like, at first I was like, and then it's just like it just boom, 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 boom.
It's just
like,
how
a steam engine just
built
fucking
and
go,
picked up momentum.
go. It's like I don't take it. Nobody out there take it like I'm trying to dog on Tanahashi. He just doesn't do much for me, but he shows up, and I can't not. I enjoy his matches. So yeah, it was just it was a pleasant surprise to end the G1. It was one of those things where fucking predictable wrestling, and me and you going through our brackets. We're on the same fucking page last week.
Right.
And me and you each scored 1 point per night for the last 2 nights. So I was like, wow, fucking not predictable. That's awesome.
Yeah, what I like most about the Tanahashi story is that it was kind of a situation where a lot of people had written him off at this point. He's old, he was gone with injuries.
Even back in the Intercontinental title, I was writing him off, and he won it off Naito. So I was like, oh shit, okay, well that makes sense.
Right. But yeah, the injuries and coming back from injuries, he talked about it in his promos leading up to this. When I came back from my injuries, people told me to slow down and take it easy and not go for it. And Tanahashi wasn't having it. It's like, I'm still the ace. My goals are to win the G1 Climax. My goal is to make it back to Wrestle Kingdom in the main event and to regain that IWGP heavyweight. He has goals of being the ace once again. And I think it's kind of cool because he's talking about the different style, like what Ibushi and Kenny Omega kind of represent in a newer style, and what Tanahashi represents in a little, it's not necessarily a slower style like you said, because like this match in particular, this finals, it built like
it's paced was probably a better word. Like it's more well paced as a match. Like you're right. Like slower style. Like it just I don't know. It's like I could just like think of it like a steam engine. It's just like choo 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 choo. Like it gets going and going and going and going. Like it keeps you interested. There's never like an up down moment to me.
And a couple of other my favorite things from this match, this story, all of it. I mean, first of all, the second, third, whatever of all, I should say, Kota Ibushi's story and him not necessarily being committed to New Japan but making it to the finals, I think, is a big story. Kota Ibushi fucking beating Kenny Omega, the IWGP champion. That's a story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we got to talk about that. Kenny Omega only taking 2 losses in the tournament, one to Tomohiro Ishii. Another, that's probably
he's the all-star of the G1.
Absolutely, he's
100%.
Definitely. I mean, it's not necessarily a hot take, but Ishii is like the MVP of this tournament. Everybody's talking about. He's had great matches with everybody. He had a great match with fucking Tama Tonga, or maybe it was bad. Who's in his block? Was it Bad Luck Fale? I
think it's Fale.
Anyway, the him versus the Tongans, because it was basically him versus all 3 of them.
No, it would have been Tama Tonga.
It was that was an interesting match. So Ishii killed it in all of his matches. But him beating Kenny Omega, beating the champion, they're already talking about that being a championship match coming up. Whether it's at Destruction, probably more than likely at the Strong Style. What is it? The Strong Fighting Spirit Unleashed. That could be it. It could be King of Pro Wrestling. Could be Power Struggle. But I imagine Kenny's going to have at least 2 defenses before Wrestle Kingdom.
sure.
A lot of people are kind of just saying there's probably only going to be one, but I think they got 4. I mean, the Destruction Tour isn't necessarily regarded as bigger shows, so that there's not necessarily going to be a championship match because there are 3 Destruction shows and 3 Road to Destruction shows.
They got that junior championship to get going again too.
Right. So I mean, they could do that. I imagine for the junior heavyweight title, because we haven't really talked about this on the show here, but Hiromu's probably going to be out for the better part of a year with his neck injury, so he'll probably have to give that title up. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of single elimination tournament on these Road to Destruction and Destruction shows coming up in September. So anyway, getting back to the heavyweight title here, I don't expect to see the heavyweight title necessarily defended at any of the Destruction shows, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did something at Fighting Spirit Unleashed back in the Walter Pyramid in Long Beach. If not there, certainly King of Pro Wrestling, they will have a title match there. I believe that's the Sumo Hall show in October. But then November, Power Struggle, about a month after King of Pro Wrestling, I think we could get another IWGP heavyweight title match, and that could be the Kota Ibushi one.
Defending it all in? Or is that just a one-on-one match?
It's just a one-on-one match at this point. They certainly could call it a title match, I suppose, but we'll talk about that in a little bit here. The singles match versus Pentagon Jr. At All In. I don't think it's going to be for the title because I think they said it's going to be the semi-main event. They're doing the 6-man tag, I think, as the main event.
It's like Ring of Honor defends on New Japan TV, but not vice versa.
yeah, once in a while, but certainly not the bigger belts. So, but yeah, I could see Kenny doing 2 title defenses before Wrestle Kingdom, but I could also see the side of the argument Kenny and Kota Ibushi are friends and lovers and whatnot. So maybe Kota Ibushi doesn't want to challenge him for the title. But there is the story here where Kenny Omega just has not been able to beat Kota Ibushi. That was the story coming out of DDT. That's why Kenny Omega went on his own in New Japan. Why he joined the Bullet Club. Why he distracted Kota Ibushi in his title challenge. I believe that was versus Okada so many years ago. So there was that friction back then where Kenny has kind of been the underling or just unable to defeat Kota Ibushi. So that's a big part of the story here too. So I mean, certainly, who knows?
Long term, no one.
Right. I mean, ideally, you'd want to tell that story of Kenny finally defeating Kota Ibushi on a bigger stage, but what if Kota Ibushi wins the fucking title and goes to Wrestle Kingdom to face Tanahashi?
There's one thing we're not talking about.
What's that?
And that's fucking Toru Yano beating the Golden Lovers, both of them. Where's his title shot?
That's true. Some people have speculated, when will Toru Yano get his shot? Here's the thing. I don't think Toru Yano's getting a shot. If he does, it's on one of those Destruction shows I was talking about.
That's a perfect time for one of those Destruction shows, because Kenny Omega in his interview was like pissed at Tama Tonga, like, how dare you interfere in my one match a year with Toru Yano? So it's just, I do feel like he would give up, like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. But yeah, that would happen on Destruction, or I could also see them doing that at the Walter Pyramid show, because anytime Yano makes an appearance in the United States, the crowd goes nuts for it. So if Omega and Yano wanted to do the Omega Yano special in Long Beach, I think the crowd would be into it. It'd be silly, and it would probably get a lot of heat from some of the purists online. But
cry me a
person
river.
that he would, Yano would make sense to have a title match against, though. Like, throw him against Okada, be like, okay.
Yeah, so there's that. Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, getting back to that subject. How about Katsuyori Shibata being in Tanahashi's corner? That just added just a certain level of, okay, there's another level of something going on here. And then I want to talk about Kenny Omega not only being in Kota Ibushi's corner, but then there was the match where Kota Ibushi, when he beat Kenny Omega in the the block finals. I thought for Kenny Omega, who is the current IWGP Heavyweight Champion, I thought he looked weak as a champion, not only being defeated by Kota Ibushi, but just like when they're both in the back and Kota Ibushi is quote unquote celebrating his win. Kenny Omega is there as his friend, as
on
his
the floor.
as his lover, as whatever. But I just, and then him seconding Kota Ibushi for the
Kota's his weakness.
right. I just thought it made the guy who's supposed to be the man, the guy, the grand champion, the International Wrestling Grand Prix champion. I just thought it made him look secondary, which is part of the story here too.
That was that moment too.
Right. So I just thought that was interesting and just some food for thought there. Other stuff from this match.
You look like a bitch, Omega.
The fact that Tanahashi typically takes 2 high fly flows to beat a guy. He'll do like the standing high cross style high fly flow, and then the regular high fly flow frog splash from the top rope. Sometimes it'll be the frog splash to the back, then the frog splash to the front. So typically only 2. This time it took 3. And we got to talk about the history between Ibushi and Tanahashi here as well. This goes back to last year's G1 Climax when Kota Ibushi invented the Kamigoye in his hometown to defeat Tanahashi. Kota Ibushi often refers to Tanahashi as a god. He's the god of New Japan, the ace of New Japan. Kamigoye, roughly translated, means beyond God. So he invents this knee to the face that's beyond God so he can defeat Tanahashi a year ago. Remember, Tanahashi a year ago was the Intercontinental Champion. So they have the match for the championship later in the year. Tanahashi beats him, so now they're 1-1. Come back here a year later. Kota Ibushi can't get it done with the Kamigoye. Tanahashi gets it done with 3 high fly flows. When everybody counts him out, everybody's pushing him to the side. He's old news. He's old hat. Get this old fart out of here. Now he's main eventing Wrestle Kingdom. Now,
Boom.
Tanahashi will have to defend the briefcase along the way. He did, in fact, lose one other match in the tournament to Jay White with the skullduggery and the nonsense and getting knocked off the air.
You already knocked us off the air 3 goddamn times.
So there is that. So that should be a good match somewhere along the way for the briefcase. Now, nobody's ever lost the briefcase, and I would be very, very surprised if a guy like Jay White took the briefcase off of Tanahashi. But let's talk about Jay White and his tournament. Final night of his block. He was B block, right? Or no, he was A block. He was A block with Tanahashi and Okada and everybody. Had a hell of a run, 12 points. Got beat on the final night by Evil. So good for Evil there. So, come on, give me it. Oh,
everything is evil.
So Evil beat Jay White on the final night to take him out of contention. So when it came down to Okada and Tanahashi, it was for all the marbles. But Jay White had a hell of a run. Yeah, it was all the skullduggery and stuff. And I just really enjoyed his heel character as it developed through the tournament. In the ring, out of the ring, throwing guys into the announce tables, pissing off the announcers.
Pissing off Rocky Romero too. Just, he helped sell that fucking, evilness from Jay White, just wanting him to lose the whole fucking thing and him still walking out victorious. Just, yeah, it was great stuff. I loved it.
What else was I going to say there? Let's talk about this Kota Ibushi move that he's doing now. This standing moonsault with the knees to the sternum. How about that fucking? He did that. He unveiled it against Kenny Omega in the B block final, and then brought it out here again versus Tanahashi. Wow, what a fucking move! Not a move you can do every match, but you bust it out once in a while for one of these insane matches, and I think it really just adds to the drama. But yeah, look out.
Well, those two, I mean, you put them in a ring, they're gonna just invent moves just because. Like this is their life and their passion. You can tell how much they put into it. So I mean, of course he's gonna be like, yeah, fucking, I did this now.
So let's see other stuff here. I'm gonna go. Let's go back to nights the A block finals from the from the 10th. One thing I thought was notable, I thought Don Callis was going to be back for all 3 nights in Nippon Budokan. No Don Callis back. I imagine he's getting more and more busy with his Impact duties and
duties.
And Rocky Romero did a very nice job on the English commentary side.
And that other, I don't remember the dude's name, but the one roughly translating shit too.
Well, they got 2 guys that were helping out. The one was Django. He's just the translator guy, and then there's this other guy named Chris Charlton. He's wrote a couple of books that I actually just ordered. I'm going to try reading some of them on my vacation coming up here.
Yeah, what is a book?
Yeah, he wrote 2. I know, right? I don't read many books. I got a Kamala book.
I was about to say, judging by Kamala Speaks.
I got a Kamala book and a Bret. I got more somewhere else, but
Mick Foley?
He's like, fuck you guys.
I had the Mick Foley one. It's since disappeared. But no, he's got one book called Lion's Pride. It's all about the entire history of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Cool.
And then one that he just released this year called Eggshells, and that is about the history of pro wrestling in the Tokyo Dome. So all wrestling promotions that have done stuff in the Tokyo Dome itself.
That'd be cool.
So that's who Chris Charlton is. He obviously is a fluent Japanese speaker. And so having him on commentary, not only as someone that can translate, but someone who is very familiar with the product and the history.
It was fun. The 3 of them geeking out.
It was just really, really good stuff. Okay, so let's go back to the final 3 nights here. Going to kind of blow through these matches real quick, just because I guess it's not really. I've gone through the results every show that we've done here, and I kind of feel like it's unnecessary. What do you guys think? Do I need to blow through these results from the last 2 nights since I've done it the entire tournament? Or
I'd say at this point, since we already talked about the finals, not really.
Yeah. But I mean, like Okada.
Like I was about to say, highlights. What were the big ones?
Well, I mean, we talked about Evil beating Jay White. That was a big story because it knocked Jay White out of the finals. I mean, really, all the other undercard stuff was just kind of what it was. It was Makabe beating Elgin to even up in the points. Yoshihashi beating Hangman Page, which was a disappointment for me.
What did Hangman Page end up scoring?
6 points, same as Yoshihashi, same as Makabe, same as Michael Elgin. Fale had 6 points. Suzuki had 8. He got to 10 by beating Bad Luck Fale with a DQ.
Fale was not pinned or submitted, though.
Right. Fale never got pinned or submitted, but he sure got DQ'd a fucking lot throughout the tournament. So because of that DQ, Suzuki got to 10 points, but he was mathematically eliminated there. I wanted to talk one more thing I wanted to talk about regarding Okada and Tanahashi in the main event with Tanahashi, of course, advancing to the finals. What's missing in the story here that we haven't talked about is that Tanahashi technically did not defeat Okada. These guys went to a time limit draw again, and because of the tiebreakers, because Tanahashi had more points, he was the one that went to the finals. So that's a story here too, with Okada going on that crazy long run. Tanahashi has not beaten Okada for fucking ever, basically. Okada finally defeated Tanahashi at the Tokyo Dome a couple of years back or whatever, and that's led to this historic run for Okada. This will be the first Tokyo Dome main event in 2 years without Okada in it. So there's that. Tanahashi finally making it back to the main event for the first time in a couple of years is a story too. So the story here is, can Tanahashi regain the IWGP Championship? And at one point, does Okada come back looking for that championship?
Right.
Yes.
And also, you got the Kenny Omega story there too, with Omega finally defeating Okada after Okada kept the title away from him for so many years. So there's questions there too. But yeah, hell of a match from those two. Fucking Tanahashi busting out a Styles Clash in the match. All kinds of craziness.
Fucking Kota Ibushi dropping Tanahashi on top of his head.
Yeah. Going back to the B block finals, kind of the same kind of a story on the undercard for the most part. Although we did have the C block finals, it was supposed to be a singles match between David Finlay and Henare, and they said because of an injury to Jado. I don't know how Jado would affect any of this, but Jado gets injured. They make this thing a tag. It's Finlay and Elgin versus Shota Umino and Toa Henare.
Poor Finlay.
Finlay gets the win, though. He hits Shota with the stunner,
nice.
And he gets the trophy, which was a small gold thumbs up. So,
yes.
So that's your C block trophy there. Honma is back again. He had a couple of matches on the on the B block final and on the final night. Fucking in this on the for the B block final, he's in there with Okada. Okada's getting booed because he's avoiding the fucking Kokashi headbutt. He hits Honma with the big drop kick. The crowd's boo, fuck this guy. So they wanted to see Honma hit his big move and everything. He finally hit the Kokashi on the second night. So that was the big feel good story on the final night. The G1 finals with Honma finally hitting his Kokashi. So the undercard again, Yano Toru beating Tama Tonga again via DQ, but the story here was the big hubbub that New Japan created, saying no more interference or you guys are suspended for 3 months.
Vacation.
And they're teasing. Yeah, I could go for a vacation on Twitter and all that. They tease the interference here, but the teased interference leads to the distraction. Tama Tonga gets DQ'd anyway because he hits the gun stun on the referee. So,
which his gun stuns fucking looked way better.
Yeah, but again, I kind of agree with what we were talking about before. His gun stuns at the beginning of the tournament and the stuff at the Cow Palace, I thought were way better than
fucking sharp
than these the late gun stuns here. But they did the deal where the referees and Harold Mage, the new president of New Japan, are escorting these guys out of the building so that they can't interfere in the Omega and Ibushi final match because of course that was a big story with those guys interfering in those matches leading up to this. So I like that bit of storytelling. What worries me, and how do you guys feel about this Harold Mage kind of getting involved? That was a story on the final night too, with the Tongans challenging the Bucks and Marty Scurll for the Never Trios championships, and of course the baby faces being fighting champions. They're like, yeah, bring it on, motherfuckers. And Harold Mage says, okay, go ahead, holla, holla, holla. So how do you guys feel about? It makes me a little uneasy that he's kind of putting himself out there for storyline reasons. It was fine in both of these, although you know what, it actually did bug me in the Never Trios sense, even though this was their one and only defense, and of course it's the Never Trios titles. They change hands damn near all the time, except for that one long run by the Los Ingobernables guys last year. But yeah, so they defend him. They have to defend him here. They want to defend him. The president says, yeah. Makes me uneasy because the president should say, no, goddammit, you guys have been cheating. You guys have been fucking up. No, this isn't a title match. Right. You haven't earned a title match. And yeah, maybe he gets booed in the moment, but just because he gets booed in the moment doesn't make him a goddamn heel, quote unquote, authority figure. That would be the thing that would make sense to me. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
As long as he doesn't use the term people power,
you mad.
I think we're good. Like, if he's just there for those quick instances, they need to keep it that way. We don't need him, again, getting involved storyline-wise. He doesn't need a microphone in the middle of the show to announce anything. No, every once in a while, maybe he throws something out there saying, you know what, fine, go ahead and do that. But other than that, if it gets any farther than that, you're basically going WWE territory here.
Any other thoughts on that, Taco?
Yeah, I'm glad he wasn't really jumping in at like the beginning of the G1. I'm glad it was like a sidestep, get the fuck back. I already issued, a thing to fucking warn you guys, and that's not working. So he's front of the line trying to push him to the back. So I did appreciate that. And yeah, no fucking, I'm not mad that they're champs now. Fucking Young Bucks don't need it.
You mad.
So getting back to, I want to get back to
who the fuck is you?
Getting back to the B block final, the undercard was a little bit more entertaining, or a little bit better matches, I thought, than the A block final. Goto versus Juice Robinson. Juice did get a big win here, so I really liked that story. It got him up to 6 points, even with Goto, but a big win, I thought, for Juice. One thing I wanted to touch on here, both the kind of Juice Robinson / Michael Elgin injury storylines throughout the tournament. The Elgin one bothers me more than the Juice Robinson one, but not necessarily for obvious reasons. So the Juice Robinson injury storyline gets his hand busted before the Cow Palace show, and then he's been working that injured hand throughout the entire tournament. Gets it examined halfway through the tournament, or early in the tournament, and the doctors say it's at 70%. Don't wrestle, but he's wrestling anyway. But he's slowly using it more and more. He starts taking the bandage off so he can use it, but he doesn't use it right away. Then he starts taking the bandage off so he can hit a guy. Final match here with Hiroki Goto. He takes the bandage off, the soft cast off before the match even starts. So at least there was a little bit of a progressive story of him getting better and better.
Swinging too with it and completely missing.
Right. And but him. There was a story where he kind of gradually got better, which doesn't really make sense in a context of if your hand was broken and you keep using it, it should probably be getting worse. But I like that there was at least some effort here he preserved it. He thought it was feeling better. It starts getting better. He starts using it, and he discovers, okay, I am good. I can use this. Let's go. Now, Michael Elgin, on the other hand, he's got his arm all taped up, his biceps fucked up. He gets it examined. Turns out he needs another week or so to heal. He keeps the wrap on, whatever. He finds out it's okay for the final night. So throughout the entire tournament, he's selling this fucking arm or whatever, right? Final night, he comes out, no fucking rap, just nailing guys with his busted up arm. Doesn't matter, not selling it. I didn't like that. At least with Juice, there was a little bit of progression, but in the case of both, I would have preferred just continue to sell the injury, keep telling that consistent story, and then when you come back for Destruction or whatever, then you can, move on from it or whatever. But again, at least I like the progression of the story with Juice Robinson a little bit better than the Elgin thing. So anyway, back to this B block thing, B block finals. Sonata versus Ishii, I thought was a 4-star match. Just awesome. Middle of the undercard thing. Again, Ishii having great matches with everybody. These two tied at 8 points, so it felt big, even though both are mathematically eliminated. Ishii gets the win with the brainbuster after 2 hard, intense lariats. Then the semi-main event, Tetsuya Naito versus Zack Sabre Jr. Everybody was expecting Naito to get the win here because if he gets the win, then there's all kinds of storyline implications of Naito being able to make it to the finals.
Would have been a big redemption too.
Sure. He doesn't win. Zack wins. And the greatest part of this story is
Zack driver too.
Correct.
Yes.
You go all the way back to night 1 of the tournament, or not night 2, or no, night 1, because it was in an undercard tag match. Zack busts out the Michinoku, aka the Zack driver. So night 1 of the tournament hits a Zack driver and gets a win on an undercard tag match that nobody's paying attention to. Goes through the entire tournament, never hits a Zack driver. Final night of the tournament, beats Naito with the Zack driver, knocking Naito out of the tournament. Unable to make the finals.
In the same year, makes him submit and pins him.
So there's quite the story between Naito and Zack Sabre going on. Now,
that's awesome.
Final night of on the finals of the tournament, there's this big match between Los Ingobernables and Suzuki Gun. Suzuki just wants this fucking revenge on Naito for stealing the Intercontinental Championship from him. Naito's not having it. He's like, dude, I already beat you. I'd rather have a fight with somebody a little more interesting, like, I don't know, Zack Sabre. He's better than you anyway. So talking some shit. And, Naito, after being beaten twice now by Zack Sabre, not only getting submitted in the New Japan Cup, but here in the finals,
getting pinned.
Right, getting pinned with the Zack driver. Here's what I think. I was watching some Naito. I started rewatching some G1 today, trying to figure out what my top 5 matches are, which is probably going to end up being a top 10 because like the top 3 are already, the final A, final B, and then the final match, which only leaves 2 more matches, which which would probably be Ishii and Ishii and Omega, which was was like my number 2 match of the tournament behind
fun.
The finals and probably some other
I just
Ishii
pick every
match.
Ishii match.
Yeah, but where was I going here?
Ishii's a beast.
Naito. I really think Naito needs a new finisher. He's doing the Destino-like reverse DDTs, not with the arm twist, but even when he gets the arm twist, sometimes it's clunky. Jericho doesn't know how to take it or whatever. Stuff like that. I really think Naito needs a new finisher. I like the Destino. I like when he hits it out of nowhere, but it's so rare. But that's the thing. When he hits it out of nowhere, it's not with the arm twist, so it's never the finish.
Right.
So it's only the finish when it's the arm twist thing, and it's kind of clunky to get into the arm twist thing. So I think he needs a new finish. I don't know if he goes back to using the fucking Stardust press. I think that's probably not the story that they're telling. But I feel like there's this story that Naito he's not getting the big wins. He's getting beat by Zack
He needs
Sabre.
to turn to the dark side.
Yeah,
be the heel again.
He's got to
fuck everyone. Fuck him.
He's got to do something. But that's the thing is the crowds are hot for him. He's still like the number 2, 3 popular guy in New Japan. So it's just like, what do we do with this guy? So just remember, Jericho's coming back in October or November. We'll probably see something along the storylines there.
He just posted something too about free agent Jericho. 2019 is gonna be an interesting year.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it here because I want to talk about All In and MSG and all of that in a little bit here. But
I don't eat MSG.
Well, good for you. I eat lots of it.
It's delicious.
That's how I got this wonderful fat ass figure. But Omega Ibushi in the finals for the B block, fucking great match. Just under 5 stars for me. Talk about a frantic pace. This was a complete opposite from any Tanahashi match. These two just go and go and go. I rewatched this today. Fucking, it's just hard hitting. The clutch tombstone pile driver on the apron. We talked about the flipping moonsault with the knees and all that nonsense. Just insane stuff from these two. Probably not their best match. It didn't rival their crazy ass DDT match the last time they were in Budokan. That's why everybody had this match circled or whatever on their calendars. But still, I thought very good match. All right. Any other thoughts on this G1 stuff?
Nah, it was fun shit.
I want to make sure I didn't forget.
Can't believe it's over already.
Forget anything. Yeah, it's only been a month-long thing here. I do want to talk about one more thing here. On the night of the finals, of course, loved the opening video with all the tournament highlights. You know what? I'm going to kind of miss that song a little bit. I don't have the sample here or whatever, but there was that opening song. It was just some cheesy fucking pop song, but I'm going to miss that a little bit. What did I want to highlight here? Okay, Cody and Hangman Page. Cody beat Juice Robinson in the undercard tag match, got the pin on Juice, and challenged him for the U.S. title. So Juice has like umpteen million fucking guys that are possible challengers.
Perfect underdog.
Oh, so Juice did say in his post-match promo, like, look, you're not first in line. All these other guys in the G1 beat me. I've been here for a month, fucking working my ass off in this G1, but you know what, motherfucker? I'll take you on anytime. I'll talk to the office. We'll move your ass to the front of the line. I'll beat your ass and move on to these other title defenses. So I like Juice coming into this Cody match with a little bit of swagger.
Yeah.
So I reckon this will be definitely at the Walter Pyramid. That feels like a good American audience show between those two. Talked about the LIJ and Suzuki Gun stuff. Ishii definitely challenged Omega after they had a tag match, so that's not by mistake.
That's set in stone.
That's definitely coming up sooner than later. And then the semi-main event on the finals here for the G1 was a lot of fun. Roppongi 3K teaming up with Kazuchika Okada versus Kushida, Rey Mysterio Jr., and pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu. Pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu was Funky Weapon. What's his name?
Taguchi.
Taguchi.
Why am I the one that knows that?
I just had a fucking
Funky Weapon.
I was trying to think of Clint Dix.
Right, I was having a Clinton Dix moment there. Yeah, fucking Taguchi in a mask was pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu. And by the way, at one point, Los Ingobernables de Japón was my favorite thing to say. It is now pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu is my favorite thing in the world to say. I don't know if he's going to keep this gimmick up at all. I mean,
he could.
I mean, like, what was it, earlier this year or last year? He was like a horse. He came out in a horse mask.
Oh, that's
It was
right.
like somebody versus a horse. He came out and fucking wrestled as a horse. But it was funny because it's obviously Taguchi. He gets tagged in and starts doing all the fucking butt moves, doing all the Taguchi moves, which was fun. But I just got a kick out of pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu. And that team got the win, too, of course, with Rey Mysterio on that team. It's interesting here. We got Rey Mysterio coming into Japan doing dates. Is he going to go back to the Walter Pyramid and do dates? When are we going to get a big singles match? I think is going to be a big question. And is he going to stick around? Because the WWE rumors are flying. He's putting on weight. He's not as small as he was last time we saw him in the New Japan.
The fucking video game and shit.
Yeah, exactly. So there is all of that. All right, I think we discussed all the points at this point for
every point
for the G1 finals. Before we technically move on to the Ring of Honor, although I guess it kind of qualifies as Ring of Honor stuff, we could hit the theme here.
Hit the theme.
You know what? Fuck that. I gotta go back to New Japan for just a moment.
Son of a bitch.
To explain one soundbite that I got here. I went back and I briefly mentioned the Kenny Omega versus Tomohiro Ishii, my number 2 favorite match from the entirety of the tournament. At first, I was a little critical of it, but fucking really good match. Upped it to 5 stars. Loved the Omega Ibushi. Ishii match. So at one point, Kenny Omega does the double. Ibushi is laying on the apron with like his torso hanging off of the apron, so his legs are kind of in the ring and his torso is hanging outside of the ring on the apron or whatever. Kenny Omega does this springboard double stomp, knocking Ishii onto the floor. And my second time watching it today, watched it with the Japanese commentary, and one of my favorite commentators, what's his name now? The guy that does the Paradise Lock. The internet's screaming at me, and I'm fucking blanking on his name. He makes
Sonata?
No, well, he's the Milano Collection AT. He's like my favorite color commentator on the Japanese side. So Kenny Omega does this insane double stomp to the floor, and he's just like,
Holy shit! Holy shit!
He's my favorite dude because every time some fucking crazy move goes, he's like, oh, he makes that fucking noise. I just get a kick out of him. And he was the guy that last year during the G, or maybe might have not been during the G1. I think it was when Evil challenged Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Fucking Evil runs wild on Okada, hits a big move, and he's just. he was the guy that fucking screamed that version of that. So
awesome.
I believe that was him anyway. Don't quote me on that. So anyway, loving him. Now we can kind of move on to the half Ring of Honor, half New Japan news. We got to talk about this Madison Square Garden sellout happening very quickly. The pre-sale went on sale for Honor Club members last week. I very, very strongly considered buying one. I just went to New York for the first time as a what do you call it? A vacationer? What is that? A tourist. I was a tourist this year.
I'm going to call it vacationer from now on.
All right. I'm going to be a vacationer in Washington State here next week. But I went to New York earlier this year, not for wrestling, just as a vacation. I really want to go back, and I really want to go back for Supercard next year for this G1 Supercard. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to make it, but I was very tempted to buy a ticket. I did not, but I was. I could have got in on that pre-sale. But then the general tickets went on sale for the general public on Friday. The thing sold out in a matter of pretty quick. Yeah. So Madison Square Garden sold out for Ring of Honor and New Japan.
WWE couldn't even fucking do that for a house show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's been a story for you. I mean, who's going to who's selling out a house show?
It's just awesome.
Yeah.
It just shows, the interest for wrestling is there, and I'm glad Madison Square Garden put their foot down. Like, hey, you're not really helping, with your business coming to us by any means. These guys, we're bringing them in. We want wrestling again here, and it shows.
I think it was more the Sinclair lawyers putting their feet down, saying, "Wait a minute, our CEO said that our little wrestling company is going to run Madison Square Garden," and then WWE steps in and says, "No, hello, we have a lawyer and lots of power." So I think it was more along those lines. But either way, it'll be really interesting to see what the card ends up being for this.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Cross promotion, they're going to go all out for this.
I think the big story, another big story about this is obviously you've got the All In thing, and that isn't necessarily All In wasn't. All in isn't really about what's the card, what's the promotion, it's more who's putting this thing on. Let's have this historic moment, this historic
Let's enjoy some fucking wrestling
thing for indie wrestling. This big middle finger to the WWE, and I think that's definitely a huge symptom here with this MSG show. It's the indie fans, it's the fans that just want to see something different. They want an alternative. They just want to. It's history. No other wrestling has been in Madison Square Garden since 1960s or whatever. So this is a big moment. So that's people want to be part of history. So people are choosing to go to this over NXT, who would have normally gone to NXT on the same day here, just because of they want to be a part of history. So the real question is, we got contracts that are coming up here later this year. Cody's contract is coming up. The Young Bucks contract is coming up. Kenny Omega's contract is coming up. I will. Surprised is maybe a bit strong of a word, but I would be surprised if Kenny Omega signs with WWE, because he's got the Kota Ibushi thing. He is fluent in Japanese. He's got all the creative control that he wants basically in New Japan. He's got control over his schedule. Kenny Omega's not doing a ton of U.S. indie dates. He's not doing a ton of worldwide indie dates.
Neither are the Bucks, so.
Well, the Bucks are doing their fair share. They flew from Japan to home for 12 hours and then back to the
Glasgow.
Are they really doing like Rhode Island, like little tour dates, stuff like that, or are they just doing like the big like Chicago shows or?
Well, they're doing all the Ring of Honor shows, and then they're doing the New Japan shows when New Japan brings them in. So and then
I'm not saying they're not fucking working their asses off. I'm not saying that.
But my point with all of this is both the Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody get to choose their own schedule.
Yes.
Now, Cody's not going to go re-sign with WWE unless they give him a lot of things that he wants, because he's been out of WWE. He's experienced what it's like for him to, creatively and financially and control his own schedule. But there's other possibilities out there. I mean, you've got Impact out there. Now, Impact doesn't have a lot of money, but do they have enough to to bring in Cody exclusive? Possibly. But is Cody going to sign an exclusive deal? I sure wouldn't. If I was the Young Bucks, I wouldn't sign an exclusive deal either. I would want to be able to go to Impact. Impact their stock is on the rise. And any independent wrestler, the likes of Cody, the likes of the Young Bucks, certainly the likes of Kenny Omega, if they sign an exclusive deal, you're fucking leaving money on the table. Don't sign an exclusive deal in today's world, because everybody wants to be that super indie.
They are though. What's her face? Tessa Blanchard signed an exclusive deal with Impact.
Well, was it an I don't think it's an exclusive deal, but it's a deal.
It's a still a
2-year
deal. But I still believe they're still like, go fucking tour though. Still go to these indie shows. Be part of the scene,
right? Because
that's what's getting their fucking name out there.
That's what's getting the eyeballs on Impact is popular independent stars. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on like? like the Young Bucks going to WWE. Like I don't see that going well for the Young Bucks other than their pocketbooks. You know, it would have to be a monstrous con. Think of all the money they've made on T-shirt deals with Hot Topic, Pro Wrestling Tees, these
Funko.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
I picked up the Funko Pops. I couldn't resist. But I mean, the only reason to do it is to say you did it. You know, like I could see them signing a 1 year, like literally, they're not going to go multi-year even if they do. They're going to sign a 1 year for a ridiculous amount of money, work that year, work one WrestleMania in their time.
A year though.
Exactly. So if that's the case, then they can go fuck themselves. There's no reason, like you said, for them to sign. They have what they need to run their own fucking business at this point, and they work their asses off to do it. Again, the only reason would be to just not have to run all that shit, not have to run all over the world. And if they do have to run somewhere, they're flying in, some first-class jet, technically.
I mean, that's the thing is the WWE schedule, the main roster schedule is
rough.
It's rough. I mean, it's every weekend plus TV. And, maybe I don't think the Young Bucks would get put on NXT because they would have to pay so much money to get the Young Bucks in WWE. Certainly they could. They could do, once they have them, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with them. Just look at what they have now. They can do whatever the fuck they want with whoever they sign. So, I mean, there's that. I just don't have, as a fan, as someone who just watches and absorbs this, I don't have faith in WWE, aside from NXT, doing the right thing with a tag team.
Yeah, if I was to see the Bucks in a WWE product, I would want them to be like Dusty Rhodes Classic. Like, I want them to bring back that what they're doing with the Mae Young Classic right now, that level of like, we brought these fucking people in, check this out, and you're like, holy fuck, yeah, awesome. I kind of want to see that again with the tag division, not just the 6 of the NXT tag teams going at it for the tag titles. It's fun, I love it, it's awesome. That those first 2 years were super exciting for the Dusty Rhodes, and this year kind of felt just like just a quick shoe-in. And
yeah, it was really short this year.
I want that excitement back, like bring in the oddball tag teams. That'd be exciting.
Tag
but
team
at the same
classic.
team, like if the Bucks weren't in Japan at all during the G1, except for the last 2 nights. So
yep.
That was a good month that they didn't really have to travel to Japan, do anything. They can come home, spend some time with the family, maybe go do the quick Ring of Honor tour dates here and there. But it's still a skip away from home. It's easier than having to come back from Japan where most of their fucking doing their business. Same with the Mega. He's off doing fucking commercials and all this shit, So, they got a good niche for themselves right now. Fucking Marty Scurll can go home, play in England for a little bit, and then dip back into Japan, and then dip in the States. Like, as opposed to the WWE, it's just me road.
Marty Scurll is a guy I could see going to WWE. He feels like he would fit right into WWE. But I don't think his deal is up this year. I could be wrong.
I think he signed a couple-year deal.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, all those elite guys, though, like, they have such a good niche right now in their careers. It's how far can you ride that, though? I don't see this being the elite thing going on for fucking ever either. Like, eventually someone like Heyman Page needs to branch out for them, and Bucks, would need to become the Bucks again.
Yeah, I think to me the more interesting story is who gets away from WWE and goes to the indie scene. I mean, that was like a big story in the 90s is who's jumping to WCW, who's jumping to WWE.
We haven't had that, oh my God, so-and-so signed with WWE again. It's like, oh yeah, Ricochet went to NXT. That's cool.
Right, that's kind of what we've been expecting is people have been going to WWE in droves. But I think everybody's expecting that. And people talk about it all the time. It's only a matter of time before Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and all these guys go to WWE. But who's the big story other than the obvious one like Daniel Bryan? People still talk about him going back to the indie scene. But what are some other names that just might end up getting out of there? I mean, Neville's another one. He's a guy who's been on the shelf for over a year now just because he wanted to leave, and now he's just fucking sitting at home because they won't do anything with him. He's just got to be a matter of time, right? And I don't know, any other names pop into your guys' heads?
Daniel Bryan's still a name.
Obviously, yes, yeah, and we'll know more in a couple of weeks here. If we get past to September.
Did you see that big Kaz is out on the independent scene.
Yeah, and I feel like he's going kind of the Ryback route a little bit. I don't think we're going to see him. I mean, you never know.
Just do what you can do out there, man. Fucking learn. Don't be a Ryback.
I do like a little bit of what Jack Swagger's been doing. He's been showing up a little bit more, doing some stuff with MLW. Has he been doing stuff with Impact yet?
I don't think Impact.
No,
but he's been in
Lucha.
Lucha.
That was it. So he's showing up a little bit. He's got a fucking Bellator contract. I keep forgetting about that. So he's a name that's up. But again, he's not really a needle mover for me. But who are any names pop into your guys' head, like current WWE guys that just aren't getting?
I know. There's rumors of Rusev always going on that he wants to get out of his contract post SummerSlam now, and so there's that.
He would be a guy that would be a lot of fun on the New Japan and Ring of Honor scene, I think, just the indie scene in general.
Mm-hmm. I think Ring of Honor really needs to start getting some of these quote-unquote exclusives, kind of, I don't want to say mimic what Impact's doing, because Impact's still kind of, fresh with, they're healing their wounds still, but, seeing like them lose some of these names, it hurts.
Yeah, I agree that Ring of Honor needs to take kind of the same approach that Impact is right now, and not necessarily worry about locking guys up in exclusive contracts, because people aren't signing exclusive contracts. Like guys like Brian Cage and Johnny Mundo, they learned that, even Ricochet, they learned that lesson from Impact. They're like, we're losing money because we can't fucking go work other places.
From Lucha.
Right. So, but I mean, if Ring of Honor's willing to bring in Brian Cage, Johnny Mundo, Jeff Cobb, which they have recently, so
I think he's signed though.
Well, that's interesting. That's the thing, is I hadn't heard
that's
that
why I feel
signed.
like these companies still need to have anchors in their company, and then in a sense do what like Nick Aldis is doing with the NWA Championship, going to these different promotions, defending that championship. I like the idea of Nick Cage appearing on Impact and Ring of Honor, and then your local wrestling scene too. It's awesome. And I don't know, Ring of Honor, I really like them. They have a soft spot. They always will have a soft spot in my heart, just from everything they've done, but they just never keep a talent really, and it doesn't help them grow at all. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, I mean, their top stars of the last 2 years are at NXT now. So, I mean, it's like, the Adam Coles of the world. And it's just how they kind of treat their product, too. Just like watching Ring of Honor TV this week. We had Madison Rain become the #1 contender for the women's title. I know she's in WWE fighting the Women's Mae Young Classic right now. So it's like, God damn it, Ring of Honor. Like, you gave zero fucks.
Well, just because Madison Rain's going to be in the Mae Young Classic doesn't mean she's signed with WWE. I know that's her goal. She said that she wants to sign.
But it's telling me she's not going to win.
Well, that's probably true. That was kind of evident to me, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. But she wins that #1 contenders match, and they said that it's going to be a match on TV like in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So they're not building up to the pay-per-view yet. That's going to be late in September yet. So,
but then most of their fucking title changes on an untelevised house show.
Well, I mean, but that builds up your Honor Club. That makes your Honor Club look more valuable too. So, all right, let's jump into the Ring of Honor stuff here. As long as we're kind of talking about it, we already talked about the women's match there. Thought it was fine. I did like the part at the beginning of the match where we don't really know what the rules are. Like Rick Abani's like, it's supposed to be 1-on-1, and Colt Cabana's like, I thought it was just everybody versus everybody. So clarification on rules, I think, is important in a match, because in the past the 4-corner survival match has been 2 people that are legal in the ring, and then you usually have to tag, but it was kind of lucha rules here, whatever, didn't really matter. Madison Rain got the win there with the Rain check. I want to talk about Tennille Dashwood here a little bit, and obviously we gotta preview these Ring of Honor shows coming up this weekend on Honor Club back in the UK. Tennille Dashwood out with an injury.
Oh, damn!
But, it's not nothing serious, I guess, but they're just taking precautionary measures, keeping her off the tour here. But man, it's time to really step up with Tennille Dashwood. She's a star. The crowd treats her like a star. She's the most over woman that they have on the roster, and it's getting to the point now where she just kind of feels like another person. Now, the good thing is she's still over, but the time's ticking here. We got to do something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why is she not in the number one contender spot when she's not in the Mae Young Classic? Like, I need that question mark. Like, I know it's fucking, Sumi Sakai is going to win on a television show most likely, but I still want that question mark. I want to look forward to the TV shows. Like, I still enjoy watching them regardless.
Well, like I said, we do have time. Death Before Dishonor is the next pay-per-view, not till September 28th. So they got some time to build her up. But let's get her with some key wins. Let's have her beat the Karen Q's and the Kelly Kleins of the world and build her up to be a hell of a contender, and then have her take the damn title off of Sumi Sakai. No, nothing against Sumi Sakai, but it just feels like nothing at this point. So, other matches from the show on Ring of Honor TV this week: the Briscoes versus the Bouncers. Just basically not a squash match, but the Briscoes got a key win here in a non-title tag match. But I anytime you get Beer City Bruiser in there bouncing around with Brian Malonis, it's a good time.
Good.
By the way, have you guys watched the damn tapes? This is Mark Briscoe's T-shirt just says "Watch the damn tapes."
I've seen it.
I'm not sure what that's in reference to, and maybe I sound like an idiot for saying that. I need to Google that one, but I kind of want it's up in the air. I want 2 Ring of Honor T-shirts right now. One of them is "Watch the damn tapes," and the other one might be SCF and you. So who knows? We'll go through it.
I absolutely loved doing the podcast last week because my girlfriend's all in the kitchen and I see you. I see you.
She just jumped or whatever. When that's pretty good. Speaking of SCU, they have a big brawl with the Briscoes after the match, so we're building up to something between those two. Talked about the women's match already. We had a nice little promo segment between Cody and Nick Aldis. Cody puts up the Ring of Honor, the finger ring, as some sort of collateral or whatever, being that Cody doesn't have anything to offer up, even though the original deal was just for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, it would have been nice if Cody would have won, then it would have been champion for champion, but it was not the original stipulation. The original thing was just a match. Sounded like a technically neck-bearded fucking indie dork or whatever. So, but anyway, decent little promo here. Some people might complain that Ring of Honor is promoting the All In show, but after all this, the All In is going to be on the Honor Club.
They're putting money into it,
so
all into it.
So there is.
Is it going to be live on Honor Club?
Yeah,
then?
live on Honor Club for.
I know where I'm going.
So, so yeah, watch it.
I got to see Nick Aldis wrestle this weekend. That was awesome. He wrestled Anderson.
Nice.
He was whatever, but yeah, it was just fun to get to see him up close and, see that championship. It's cool. It's a cool belt, how it's just never fucking changed.
It's a classic.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, 10 pounds of gold.
Held the door for him, too. I'm waiting outside. I just see him strolling up with his bag. I was like, let me get that door for you, champ.
Nice.
Got to make it so nice, that shit.
So Nick Aldis versus Cody at All In. I'm not like jumping out of my chair for this, but I do kind of like the story of Cody going for that classic title that Dusty used to hold, and now that Cody's in kind of a more likable role, certainly against Nick Aldis, he feels more like the babyface, and after all the Bullet Club stuff, he's definitely in a more likable role. I dig the story.
Oh yeah, it's just a nice added story to All In. Like, throw in the stipulation of the NWA Championship, that's fine and everything, but it's Cody versus Nick Aldis. I haven't seen much of Nick Aldis, but the little bit I've seen, I think it could be an interesting psychological match, I think.
Then the main event this week for Ring of Honor TV, Flip Gordon, Cheeseburger, and Josh the Goods Woods versus Bully Ray, Punishment Martinez, and Shane Taylor.
God, that just doesn't seem fair.
Right? Poor Flip. He gets taken out by Bully Ray, run into the post before the match even starts. Cheeseburger's full of piss and vinegar, though. He says, we'll take you guys on 2-on-1, even though the crowd was chanting for Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana's back there. I'm in my jeans and a polo shirt, and I got a weird safety pin on my shirt for no reason. But so they get into trouble. Colt Cabana does eventually join them and get the big hot tag, but then it doesn't matter. The bad guys get the win. What was it there? Shane Taylor getting the win over like Cheeseburger or something. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. They're attacking him after the match. Flip comes back out. He chases them all out of there with a chair. So we're continuing to build up Flip Gordon and Bully Ray. So
Bully Ray's just been killing it on Twitter for me, man.
Yeah.
He's just an asshole. Just a huge asshole.
He's a great heel.
I can't even remember. He put up a poll for something, but the answers were just fucking ridiculous. And you're just like, God, you're just a fucking dick. Why do you got to be such a bully?
Nice. So, yeah, that was Ring of Honor TV this week.
That's what it was.
Was what it was. A couple other items I want to talk about besides being the Elite. We did have the news that Colt Cabana suing his former friend CM Punk for legal fees regarding their their WWE. You didn't hear about this, Joe.
I did not hear about this one.
Yeah.
Punk's being Punk.
Apparently, Punk promised, according to Cabana, Punk promised Cabana that he would pay for all of his legal fees at one point.
If he didn't take the podcast down.
Right, because he didn't want him to take the podcast down out of principle. Of course, WWE and their Dr. Aman wanted him to take the podcast. That was how the whole thing got started, was them saying, take the podcast down, cease and desist, all this, blah, blah, blah. They don't take the podcast down. Punk says, I got your legal fees. Later on, he says, no, you're on your own. So
he goes to another lawyer friend, and that's when Punk got pissed off and said, never mind.
Okay.
And then that's when he got stuck with more legal fees, and that's why Colt Cabana's like, what the fuck? I didn't even want to be in this lawsuit. You're the one that wanted this lawsuit.
Yep.
So,
well, and here's the thing is, Punk is kind of a punk for giving up on the legal fees thing. Definitely, there should be heat there, and to me, this is just sad. It's sad that the two friends had to, get this kind of fucked up or whatever over this situation. I blame WWE. WWE put the money behind it wasn't all the doctor. It wasn't all fucking Dr. Amon, whatever. However you say it. They put the money behind him. They said, let's make an example of these guys, take these fuckers to court, even though we don't have a chance of fucking winning this thing. We're going to bleed them out of their money. And it's just sad. The whole thing just, Punk made a Punk move. It's sad because I wanted to see Punk back in pro wrestling at some point. I was holding out a little bit of hope after this lawsuit thing, but when this came out, I'm like, there's no fucking. He's done. He's done with all of it. He's never coming back to indie wrestling. He's never going back to WWE.
The closest to wrestling he's going to be selling his fucking t-shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees. Yep.
And he's going to make I wonder if he's even going to make that appearance at Pro Wrestling Tees on All In Weekend now.
Be interesting.
So, yeah, it's too bad. It's really sad. But let's talk about some fun stuff.
Okay.
Being the Elite this week, of course, we got the announcement, Omega versus Pentagon Jr. I loved it because they taped Omega's segment right after his match with Kota Ibushi. So they're in the back, sweaty as fuck, both of them sitting next to each other. Omega's talking about like, oh, this is, it's sad that I lost. I'm out of the G1. I've got no chance to win now, but now I can relax. No more singles matches for me. And then the Young Bucks are there like, well, we have your match for All In. He's like, oh, what am I going to be in the opening 6-man tag? What am I? Oh, maybe in the Battle Royal. Oh no, it's a singles match. So he's all upset that it's even a singles match. And then it turns out it's against Pentagon Jr. And he's like, what? That hardcore guy from TNA. So that was like the line of the show, that hardcore guy from TNA. And then later on in the show, Hangman Page is having nightmares. His boots are physically talking to him. The blood-stained boots are you tried to throw us away? You tried to get rid of the bloodstains? So that was hilarious stuff there. Speaking of being the Elite, I'm going to talk a little bit of Impact here. Maybe we'll talk about this on Best Pro Wrestling Podcast this week. But fucking Impact took a fucking bite off of being the Elite. This week, Scarlett Bordeaux goes into like the boardroom, and the two board members are talking to Scarlett Bordeaux or whatever. But it's just the hands that you see, making the motions and the voices in the background, directly ripping off from what they're doing on Being the Elite. So I just thought that was funny. So
enjoyable.
Yeah, very good stuff there. All right, no more reviews this week. Last week I got to read our first ever iTunes review for Strong Honor.
Oh, yeah.
So get on iTunes, please rate, review, and subscribe. And
Dave.
I will read. Thank you. Yes, I will read the reviews on the podcast if you give us a review. So please do that. Rate, review, and subscribe. Over there on iTunes is where I will find the reviews to read to the show. But in lieu of that, we will get out of here with the Kojima tweet.
Now it's time for the Satoshi Kojima Tweet of the Week.
You can follow Kojima on Twitter at cozy_lariat. And this week he's having a conversation with his daughter. He says, now, again, English a second language. He should be saying me instead of I here, but bear with me. Where is the bread, my daughter? I do not know. Did you search for bread, my daughter? Daddy, do you have it in your hand? Oh my God. So he had it in his hand the whole time. So
Bread Club.
Hashtag
Bread Club for life.
Hashtag Bread Club, baby. Follow this show on Twitter at Strong Honor. Follow me at Tommy Stryker. Hey, if you're on Facebook like everybody, facebook.com/Strong Honor Podcast. Send us an email, why don't you? StrongHonorPodcast@gmail.com. And please rate, review, and subscribe over there on iTunes. Taco, where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at HGREV Taco.
And you can follow me, Joe, at JoeBPWP. That's at Joe, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Make sure you check out the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast this week. We're going to talk about MLW. We're going to talk Impact. We're going to talk SummerSlam predictions. And we're going to talk NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 predictions.
Oh, yeah.
So tons to talk about over there on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. So check that out. And that's it. Bye.
Peace.
Adios.
The bullshit continues.
G1 Climax.
That's amazing! Holy shit! Holy shit!
Grindcore right here.
This has never happened before.
The Ascension would love this right now.
The whole thing froze. Let's see if I can... oh, there it goes. It just stopped.
We only listen to Grindcore.
Welcome to Strong Honor. I guess that's how we're starting the show this week. I don't know what happened there.
It's fucking remix.
Oh, here it goes again.
All right.
Flashback.
I guess this is going to go into the outtakes at the end. We're gonna...